Hi, sixth grade. This is Principal DeMarco, and I am going to be reading to you chapters 28 and 29 of the book Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. Enjoy! Zion's mom dropped him off at Stagecoach Pass early Saturday morning, and then Mom took us to pick Connor up at his apartment. He was already outside his door when I walked up the concrete path. "Hi," I said, meeting him in front of the apartment as he turned to lock the door. He struggles with the old lock. "Hey!" He followed me out to the car and peeked his head in front of the window. "Hi, Mrs. Green," he said before getting into the back seat with Zion. "Hi, Connor," Mom said and pulled away from the curb. "Are you excited for a little adventure?" "I know I am." Anyway, to get away from Stagecoach Pass right now and all the craziness of this festival planning, I seriously need a break from that place. Connor gave me a hesitant glance. Avon and Zion won't tell me where we're going. "Well then," Mom said, "I don't want to ruin the surprise." Connor seemed relaxed as we drove through Scottsdale. We spent most of the drive talking about Arizona and how we liked it here. "I've never seen a saguaro cactus until I moved here," I told them, thinking of the great saguaro at the top of my hill. Well, one that wasn't me anyway. That got us talking about down and dirty in Kansas City and the total lameness of Desert Moon over the desert again. It took us a long time to get to the movie theater. As we pulled in front of it, Connor no longer looked relaxed. I knew he was angry. "Avon, I told you I don't ever want to go to the movies," he said, his eyes blinking rapidly, shoulders shrugging. "Connor, just wait," I said. "I'm not going in," he nearly shouted at me. Zion slumped down in his seat and stared at his lap. "Calm down, Connor," Mom said gently. "We have a special place for you. You don't have to worry about upsetting any other movie watchers." Connor huffed. "Of course I do. I can't go to the movies." "Yes, you can," Mom said. "Don't you trust us?" Connor glowed at me. His ticking increased by the moment. "Yes, but..." "But nothing," Mom said. "Let's go in. We're seeing that new sci-fi movie you guys wanted to see so badly." Connor threw his head back against the seat rest and ticked and huffed some more while Mom parked the car. We got out and walked up to the ticket booth, where Mom quietly spoke with the cashier for a minute before buying tickets for the movie. Connor barked a lot as we walked through the lobby. It was early, though, so only a few bystanders were around to gawk at him. People didn't seem to notice me at all when Connor was around. I felt bad for Connor, but I also enjoyed the feeling of being invisible. As we entered the theater, Mom said, "It appears you have your pick of seats." The theater was completely empty. Connor looked at me and Zion. I smiled at him. Mom had to call a lot of theaters until she found one that was willing to let us have the whole theater to ourselves. "Are you serious?" said Connor. "Well," said Mom, "we couldn't afford to rent out the whole theater, so it was a lot to ask. But the manager here has a son with Tourette's and was really understanding. Plus, he said the morning show was usually fairly empty, so we were able to work it out." I could see the darkness lift off Connor like a blanket as his eyes lit up. And that alone made everything so worth it. "For real?" he said. "We have the whole theater to ourselves?" "For real, Connor," said Mom. Connor put an arm around Mom's shoulders. "Mrs. Green, you're the coolest." "I know," she said casually. "Now you three go and find a seat. I'm going to sit way in the back where I like it. Can we go get some popcorn? Connor asked, and I knew he must have been incredibly happy to ask for food. Heck yeah, I said. I want some popcorn and some gummy bears. Gross, said Zion. You like those? Heck yeah, I said, again as we walked out of the theater. I love squishy gummy candies. I love hot tamales, too. My dad says I like them because they're red like my hair and hot like my temper. I laughed. Connor grinned. That's great to know. We'll try to stay on your good side. Who says you're on it? I narrowed my eyes at the two of them. I was just hoping we were, Connor shrugged his shoulders and blinked, but it made me happy to see that, despite being out in public, his tics weren't completely out of control. I hoped that meant he was starting to feel a little more comfortable. I bet your parents want to see this movie, Zion, I said. Are you kidding? They went to the midnight showing on opening night. They waited in line for 4 hours, too. He rolled his eyes, and they wore costumes. Because it was so early, we didn't have to wait in line to get our snacks. Mom had given me some money that morning, and I told Zion to reach his hand inside my purse and get it out. I also let the boys handle the transaction. It was kind of nice not having Mom there, making me do everything. Zion paid for our popcorn, sodas, and gummy bears. $20 poorer, we headed back to the theater, Connor's and Zion's arms stuffed full of treats. Mine, not so much. I stopped at the bathroom on the way back so I could wash my feet, since I knew I'd be dipping them in the popcorn. As we sat waiting for the movie to start, the three of us superstitiously glanced back at Mom, sitting in the very back row. Do you think she might be hiding something from you? Connor said in a hushed voice. And why did she cover herself in napkins? I giggled. It's warm enough outside to wear short sleeves, so she forgets to bring a sweater when we go places, and it's so cold inside from the AC. She calls the napkins her blankets. I rolled my eyes. It was even more embarrassing when my great-grandma in Kansas used a flashlight to get around in the movie theater. She does it at restaurants, too. At least here, no one can see her. Do you think she has an idea at all who that girl might be, and she's just not telling you? Connor asked. I looked back at her, all covered in her blankets, a goofy smile on her face. No, I don't. She seemed totally surprised. My parents would tell me if they hadn't any idea what was going on. She said it's probably just a coincidence. I told them about doppelgangers. I still don't buy it, Connor said. What are the odds that you would end up here at this park and find your doppelganger? Well, I said, I found this article online about these two guys who ended up sitting next to each other on a plane. They looked identical. And then there's that one movie star who everyone thinks is a vampire because there's a picture of a man who looks just like him from World War I. We lost interest in Mom and plopped back down in our seats. I know what happened, Connor suddenly declared, making Zion jump in his seat. There's a portal up on the hill. You go through the portal while you're wearing that necklace you found and go back in time to 1973. While you're there, you have your picture taken. Connor looked extremely proud of himself as he barked and said, That's it. I've totally solved it. You could run into your grown-up self at any time. So you better be careful. Why do I need to be careful? I asked him. Is my grown-up self dangerous? Clearly, Connor said. He looked at Zion for confirmation. Zion nodded. Yeah, I'm pretty scared of grown-up Avon. Why wouldn't she just come and tell us all of this if she's wandering around somewhere? I mean, you'd remember us, wouldn't you? Zion asked me, like what we were talking about was actually true. Maybe she's dead, Connor said. I smiled at him. Rodeo Clown Mafia. Totally, we giggled. I stuck a piece of popcorn in my mouth with my foot and chewed. I really loved this whole theory, especially since this magical portal makes me grow arms. Connor's face fell. Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. You never know what a magical portal might do, Zion said, and Connor's smile returned. I decided to take advantage of Connor's good mood. So are you coming to the festival or what? I asked him. I already told you. I know, I said. Just thought I'd double check. Well, you can stop double checking, Connor said, because the only way I'd go into a crowd like that would be if someone, tied me up and dragged me there. Zion grinned at Connor. Don't give her any ideas. Zion seemed to know me pretty well already. Chapter 29. I opened the front door to let Connor in. He trudged into the apartment, his shoulders slumped. He looked so depressed. I thought he might burst into tears. Is everything okay? I asked him. He shrugged, and I couldn't tell if it was a tic or if he was deliberately being evasive. He leaned against the wall, not looking at me, and let out a bark. My parents are taking a big piece of fence out of the rodeo arena so the food trucks can get through. I've been working on that stupid report for language arts. He just stared at the kitchen floor. Hey, guess the name of the band we got to play for the festival, I said, hoping he'd snap out of whatever funk he was in. He shrugged again. The Flapjackaroos, I laughed. They normally do gigs for, Waffle Houses and stuff. But I guess the country western breakfast entertainment business isn't booming, so we got them to do the festival. Cheap, too. He still didn't look at me. Is everything okay with your mom? I asked. He finally spoke. Yeah. Did something happen at school? He didn't answer me, just barely shook his head. Hoping I could cheer him up, I said, Hey, I have a surprise for you. He followed me into the living room. I sat on the edge of the small couch, my guitar at my feet. Sit down. I motioned with my head for him to sit beside me. He dropped his backpack on the floor and flopped down on the couch with a big, dramatic sigh. I plucked at the strings with my toes for a second and adjusted one of them. I took a deep breath, willed my pounding heart to slow down, and began to play. I had practiced Moon River every day for the last month, but I still managed to hit a wrong note here and there. It sounded okay, though, and Connor was completely quiet as I played. Completely quiet. When I finished, I looked at him. You didn't tick the whole time I was playing, I said almost in a whisper, like if I spoke any louder, it would shatter the fragile quiet, and Connor would unload all of the ticks he had bottled up while I played. I had thought he would be so happy I'd finally played for him after all the times he had asked me, but I saw he had tears in his eyes. Maybe you could bring the guitar to school and follow me around playing music everywhere I go. A single tear escaped and ran down his cheek. Then I could stop being a freak. In my whole life, I had seldom felt like I was missing out on anything by not having arms. Some of the only times I had ever wished for them were during those fleeting moments of frustration when my shirt got caught around my neck or some insensitive person tossed something at me without thinking, only to have it bounce off my chest or head. But at this moment, as I watched the tears slide down Connor's cheek, I felt the true loss of not having arms, because I couldn't reach over and wipe it away, and I wasn't about to do it with my foot. What's wrong? I asked. Connor shook his head. I could never do anything like that, he whispered. Sure you can. You can play the guitar. I'll teach you. No, he wiped at his cheek. That's not what I mean. Avon, you don't understand. It's like it doesn't ever even matter that you don't have arms. You still play the guitar and go to museums and restaurants and do all kinds of stuff. I can't do anything. I can't even go out in public. Of course you can. Look at all you've done lately. Going to the meetings and the movies and coming here all the time. You can even come to the festival. You can do anything. No, I can't, Connor snapped, jumping up from the couch. I won't ever be able to do anything with my life. I won't ever be an actor or a politician or a teacher or anything like that. Geez, I can't even go to the movies without renting out the whole theater. My mouth hung open in disbelief. Why would you want to be a politician? My great-grandma would have been appalled. I could just see her raising her wrinkled fist in the air and warning Connor about the coming revolution. Connor gazed back at me, so much sadness in his eyes. You want to know why I was so upset when I got here? I nodded yes. His ticking was getting bad. He shrugged his shoulders manically as he spoke. I walked to the store before coming here. I wanted to get you some gummy bears. I gaped at him. You stopped at the store by yourself? For me? To get me gummy bears? I know it sounds silly, but to me this was like the equivalent of him going to Antarctica and back to bring me a feather from a pelican's butt. He struggled to get the words out now. I saw someone filming me on their phone. My stomach dropped like it did when I rode a roller coaster. What? Yeah, Avon. They were filming the freak. I shook my head slowly, not wanting to believe it. Maybe they were doing something else. They weren't, he yelled. So you see, I can't do those things because I'm a freak. Next week I'll be on YouTube with a bunch of snarky comments about what a psycho I am. I'm never going into public again. Not to school, not to the meetings, and I'm not going to your stupid festival. Stop it. I tried to calm him down. You're not a freak. No more than I'm a freak. You can do anything you want. Go ahead and become a politician if that's what you want. What's stopping you? This, he cried as his ticking continued unabated. I shook my head. No, you're just upset because of some jerk with a cell phone. You can do anything, Connor. And you're unrealistic to say I can do anything I want. I know your parents. I've led you to believe you can do whatever you want, but it's not true. You can't be a basketball player or a surgeon or an astronaut. I glared at him. Why couldn't I be an astronaut? Because I'm a girl? Because you have no arms, Avon. He shouted at me in exasperation like he was revealing some shocking secret I didn't already know. I gritted my teeth. Don't tell me what I can or can't do, Connor. Oh, really? What's that supposed to mean? How come you won't play your guitar at the festival? How come you won't eat in the cafeteria? I chose not to play the guitar or eat in front of people. It's not because I can't. I don't believe you. I glared at him. We're supposed to encourage each other, Connor. That's what friends do. I'm sorry some disgusting person was filming you at the store, but you have no right to tell me what I can't do because of your disability, he finished for me. Because you're disabled, Avon, like me. I stood up to face him. I don't know why I let what Connor said infuriate me so badly. I had been called disabled before. People had referred to my disability 100 times, but it was like he had used the word to insult me. I could feel my bad temper rising and taking control. I swear if I had arms right now, I'd punch you right in the face, I cried. I'm not disabled. I'm abled. Why are you so mad? Connor said. I'm just stating a fact. I'm disabled. You're disabled. Everyone at that stupid support group is disabled. I'm just telling it like it is. Well, go tell it somewhere else and don't come back, I yelled at him. Fine. Connor could barely get the word out because his ticking was so bad at this point. He grabbed his backpack, took out the bag of gummy bears, threw it on the floor at my feet, and flew out of the apartment. And suddenly I felt incredibly sorry.